Hi guys, welcome back. For those whom this is your first time, welcome. My name is Marie. Welcome to my channel, Marine Grow Up. In this channel, we talk about things we are doing to evolve, to become better human beings, to become better adults. Okay, so today something I wanted to share is so in this channel we share things we are doing, basically. Like if you have like a new habits or practices that you think they're like they are going to improve to make you evolve into a better human beings. That's why we have this channel. And this week I have been reading a book by Mike Singer, Untethered Soul, and I'm enjoying it. And so I wanted to talk about the things that I learned from this book was about limiting beliefs. So what are limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs are they are things or behavior that we practice, and initially when we practice this it's like a reaction of a specific behavior that you do over and over again. Maybe when you started, when it could be something you learned from your parents, or something that you used to do when you were young, like 5 years old, or at a young age. At that time, that particular behavior, it was saving you, but now you are a grown up and you are still acting like a child because of the subconscious rooted these beliefs that are limiting yourself. So you end up limiting yourself, like living in a small box, not knowing, because it's something that is deep rooted in you, that it's affecting your entire life. So this video, that's what I want to talk about. I'll be talking about the like how we can identify limiting beliefs, how I am identifying my limiting beliefs, and what I'm doing to correct them, like to correct them, to resolve them. So what are limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs, usually these are thoughts or assumptions that we hold on ourselves or other people. Most of the times they are things that we think that we have to do. And as I'm going to talk in the video, I will give some examples and it will kind of start making sense. For example, you might be like an older child in your family, and as a young child, or like your mom used to tell you, okay, you have to take care of your siblings, and you felt like you were responsible to take care of others before you take care of yourself. Now that you are older, you find yourself that you are one of those people who you cannot be happy until everyone else around you is happy. And it's not that it's bad, but sometimes it affects your life. Like you are somehow like, for example, you may be like helping your other friends or other people, but you end up being super exhausted and frustrated, but you judge yourself. It's like you can't help it, but you do it anyway, even if it's not saving you. So basically these behaviors, they are things that were instilled in us at young age, but we are still practicing them even though they are not serving you in a positive way. So that's how I kind of identify like limiting beliefs. So basically these are things that you use to protect us, but they are no longer saving us. So how are these beliefs, where do they come from? So most of the limiting beliefs that we have, they are from our early childhood. So as human beings, when we are born, we are basically, it's like how they say that young children, they are spongy forms. They are absorbing everything from their surrounding, from their parents or their caregivers, from the culture around them, the relationship that their parents are having, their siblings. So we get these beliefs that form us, and they help us to live in a society, to fit in. But sometimes after you grow up, you realize that there are things that you are practicing at a young age that you are still practicing now, that they are no longer saving you. So that's where they become limiting, that like you're limiting yourselves. So those are limiting beliefs. If you have anything that is coming in your mind, you can comment on this video, like what are your limiting beliefs. And like when we are little, these things save you, but as an adult, for example, if you're still reacting as a 7-year-old and you are in your 30s or your 40s, that's a limiting belief. Because at the age of 7, maybe reacting as a 7-year-old girl, it was saving you because you were protected by your parents. But now, if you find yourself reacting in the same way, it kind of limits you in that particular area. So why should we identify limiting beliefs? So let's talk about identifying limiting beliefs and how they help you. So if you don't identify your limiting beliefs, you find yourself that you're stagnant. For example, if in different areas of your life, sometimes you feel like maybe financially you are not growing financially, or your relationships are poor, or you can't even establish like boundaries because like you didn't have that chance when you grow up. So you are still operating in that limited way of thinking. So how do we know that we have limiting beliefs? This is how I know. Everyone basically has limiting beliefs. We all do. So if there is an area of your life where you're feeling like, okay, you're not happy. For example, people divide the area of life in different categories. Like there's finances, love and relationships, your well-being, your health. So, but for me to understand this in a concrete way, I put my health, like my self well-being, in 3 categories. So there is love and relationship, and then there is my wealth, like wealth in terms of finance, and then there's well-being. So let's say well-being first. Okay, how do you know that you have limiting beliefs in this area? So if you think of yourself in general, like do you feel like you're happy with yourself as a person? Do you, like if you have like inner peace, like if you wake up in the morning, do you feel like you have inner peace? Do you enjoy your life? Do you feel like, do you wake up with a purpose? So that's your well-being. And if you find that what I do, like what I kind of have been practicing to know where I am in this area, I let this, like how am I feeling in my well-being, like health wise, do I feel healthy, do I like myself, do I feel like I have inner peace? And then if I use like a scale of 1 to 5, so anything about below 3, then you start working on it. So let's say in myself, like in my well-being, like I have inner peace, I take care of myself, I'm eating healthy. So those are things to evaluate if you have inner peace. And then the next area would be like relationship and love. So for relationship and love, and it doesn't have to be like only romantic relationships. It's the relationship you have with your family, relationship you have with like friends, those also count. but if you're feeling fulfilled, like if you're happy in those relationships, it matters a lot. So that's one area that you could also rate, and you use the scale of 1 to 5. Anything that is below 3, you start working on it. Like, what are my limiting beliefs in this area? The other area will be like wealth. So in wealth, you are looking at finances. Like, do you have enough? Like, are you able to provide for yourself? Like, can you afford the life that you want to live? So that's like in terms of abundance. Are you saving? Those kind of, or are you living paycheck to paycheck, as most people are? So that's an area that you want to also to focus and look at those areas. If you're not doing well in one area, ask yourself why. Like, why am I, for example, in my case, the area that I found that I was lacking was like romantic relationships. So like, look, for example, using the relation, like I have a good relationship with my family, I have good relationship with my siblings, and then so I rate that like a 4 or 5, like a 4.5 or 5. And then in terms of relationship, I have to ask myself, like, why do I feel that I am not like in a relationship? Why? What can I do? Like, what are my beliefs about relationship? So let's start from there. Like, what's your belief about relationship? What kind of role models did you have when you were growing up? Do you even believe in love? You ask yourself those questions, and then it kind of guides you on areas that you have to work on. Is it possible to be in a happy relationship? Because some people may think you want a relationship, but deep down you are acting against it. If, for example, you grew up in a like if you were young and your parents were quarreling and you didn't have any good role models of relationship, you think you want a relationship, but the way you are acting or practicing in a relationship, it's the opposite, because these are things that were instilled in us. They are rooted into subconscious, and the subconscious mind, it just reacts. It's the one which attracts things in our life than the conscious mind. So like checking and finding out which areas that we need to improve and change the beliefs that we have about ourselves. Sometimes you may even feel like, do I deserve love? Because some people may feel like they don't deserve love. And or if you've been hurt before, you are holding, like, even if you want to be loved, but deep down you don't think you deserve to be loved, and that kind of sabotage your relationship without knowing. So those are things that I have kind of been working on, just to improve my love and like relationships. So for example, like if you find yourself like your limiting beliefs are on communication, like, are you someone who just lets people walk over you? Like, are you able to set boundaries? So like the example that I gave you about like an older or the elder child who was taking care of the younger siblings as a child, and now finding themselves that they tend to be responsible for everyone, even if those people are grown up, they can manage their life. You can't, you find yourself that you are not happy until you help them. But after you help, you also find yourself you're frustrated because you're exhausted. You are not focusing on yourself. So that's something that you have to work on yourself, because it's limiting your life. You're not developing as a person, you're living an unhappy life. So those are areas that I have kind of been working on about my life. And the other way to identify limiting beliefs, apart from looking the areas of your life where you feel like you're lacking, is to observe the area that you're complaining a lot. So one example will be for example, if you are someone, if you find yourself you're complaining about, for example, your friend, some complaining is not bad, but if you're complaining the same thing in different people, that's a pattern that can show you that, okay, something in that friend is triggering you to, that's why you're like you're complaining. An example I'll give you, it's for example, you find yourself like judging someone. For example, it would be like if you see, for like in women, sometimes you see a woman who is overdressed, and you're like, okay, where is she going? Who does she think she is? You know, those kind of things. If you find like you're kind of that kind of a person, not in one situation but in different situation, that can be a trigger in you, and it's mirroring the things that you wish you were going to do for yourself, but you're not doing it because for some reason you haven't explored that area of your life. But because it's triggering you, that's why you are projecting, like you're projecting your, like you're judging this other person because it's something that you wish you had or you wish you were able to do, but you haven't had the courage or the capacity to do it for yourself. So that's another area that you can identify a limiting belief in your life. Like, observe yourself, look at the things that you complain about. Most of the time, if you're complaining about something in the other person, it's because it's triggering you, that you wish you were able to do those things, but you are not. So you are blaming this person for the things that you are not able to do. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's another area how you can tell if you have a limiting belief. Like, look at the things that you complain most of the time, the things that you judge in other people, because those are triggers. Okay, so the next is so how can we correct these limiting beliefs? How can we so what I'm like, for me, like from what I'm personally doing to correct these limiting beliefs, it's basically the number one, I remind myself what I've been, like the one thing, if you are limiting yourself, for example, if you find yourself saying that I cannot do this, it's because sometimes, I have another example actually, where at my work, I used to work with one colleague, and she was very smart, really very smart, but for some reason she didn't finish her college, and she kept saying that she wants to go back to college, and I kept encouraging her, you're very smart, like go do your degree or something, like finish it, because you're very, like you're very a smart girl. But after we talked, like for like as more as I go to get to know her, I realized that when she grew up, she was told that she wasn't smart enough. So she had this thing in her head, praying in her head, despite that this woman is she's very bright. She was praying this in her head, and she thought she was going to fail. So she didn't like, that's why she wouldn't go back to school and finish her degree. So one, if your limiting belief is something like that you're limiting yourself because you think you are not smart enough, or you're not beautiful enough, or you're not lovable. Some people have these limiting beliefs that they believe that they no one will love them, or those kind of things. One example is to look back on your past. Like, look back to your past and build on the success that you have had before. Everyone has overcome some difficulty challenges, like some challenges in their life. So when you face another new challenge, like, give yourself a pep talk. Basically, it's giving yourself a pep talk that I can do this. Like, you do hard things, you have done hard things in the past, you can do this as well. So that's one way to to overcome your limiting beliefs, reminding yourself you already overcame some hard things. Like reminding over and over again. The other way that I'm practicing to limit my limiting beliefs is I don't entertain a negative thoughts for too long. Like if I of course negative thoughts will come and go, and if I have a negative thought, something that I don't think is going to save me in a positive way, I just release it. And I have been practicing this like a feminine meditation, where you take a deep breath. Basically you just let go of this, the problem. And if it's persisting, I have some other practices. If anyone wants them, that you can send me a message. I can private send you these like meditation practices that I have been practicing to help me release these negative thoughts or negative beliefs. If it's something really very serious, you might have to see like a counselor, like talk to someone, because some things need to be you may need to like to go to therapy, basically, to help you to release these things so you are able to move on. Okay, so what next? The other thing I do, sorry, I'm reading because I have to write this down. The other thing I do to release negative thoughts is to intentionally face my fears. Like, as human beings, we tend to stay in our comfort zone. Like, we want everything to be comfortable, but we are meant to evolve. So if something scares me, and it's not something that is against my values, it's aligned with my personal values, I will intentionally face it. I don't run away. I try to expose myself. I think you've heard it already, like where they say it's one of the it's scientifically actually proven, where if you have like a phobia, like a fear of height or fear of something, they usually recommend like to be exposed to that particular phobia that you have. So same as limiting beliefs. If you are someone who is scared to try new things, if there's a particular try to challenge yourself, like do something minor, like every day, to challenge yourself. The one thing that I did this year, it's not the first time I traveled by myself, but my first experience wasn't great. So I was like, okay, I don't think I will travel by myself again. But this year in May, I went to Miami by myself again, and I had the most wonderful time. And one thing about traveling yourself, it forces you to get out of your comfort zone, because you are on your own, so you have to talk to people. I was there for 10 days, and I consider myself introvert, and I was like, I would force myself to talk to people, because like you have no one to talk to in the elevator, like in the restaurant and a cafeteria. I would be the one starting the conversation, and usually that's unlike me. So that's one thing about like facing your fears. If there's something in particular that you're scared of, like try slowly to expose yourself to that particular thing, and over the time the fear is going to be conquered. So that's another way to to overcome limiting beliefs, is to intentionally face my fears. The other thing that I have been currently actually doing is also to question everything. So some of like I said, limiting beliefs are beliefs that were enrooted in us when we were young, and sometimes they are even like our parent. Like I had a friend who was telling me that he went to medical school because of his parents. Now he's suffering. Like he's done medical school, he did well, he's working, but he hates it. He hates to be like he hates to practice medicine, and now he kind of feels stuck because he did all this way. Like he went all the way to medical school, he graduated, he's working, he has a family, he can't just quit, but he hates practicing medicine. So one thing that I have been like, that was in this case, like this doctor, it wasn't his idea to go to medical school, it's his parents wish to go to medical school. Now he's suffering. So it kind of made me think, like, what are the things that our parents really, or our caretaker, or our culture, or the environment that we grew in up, like where we grew up, kind of the things that they were instilled in us, but they are not our own thoughts. It could also, this has also been like religion. I'm questioning about like religion. I already mentioned I grew up as a Catholic. So I'm open to learning new religion, like exposing myself to how other people think, because I believe if I grew up in, like if I was born in India, I don't know, like maybe I would have been like a Buddhism or something. I would have practiced another religion. So I'm trying to expose myself to different like religion. It's one of the way that I'm questioning the things that I think I know, just to open my mind. And one book that I'm reading, this is about really, it's a really good book by Karen Armstrong. She's one of the great, she's among like today's, she's she has good books on religion, like, and she doesn't focus. She used to be a nun and she ran away. She was a nun for I think 7 to 8 years, and then she ran away from the convent, the nun place, and she went to Oxford to learn to be like a literature professor, but she ended up doing other things into research and religion. So she has multiple books on religion, include like Christianity, um, like Islam, uh, um, Cobra, I think, Cobra, Judaism. So she's writing like how things are changing, how people, like how generations are evolving, and the idea of God is also evolving. It's she's a really, if you are into like religion and all those kind of things, she's one of the greatest author to check out. I'll share her book, the title of her book, in the comment under this video if anyone is interested. So question everything, like don't just accept things that we learned as children. Like some things were not well, like some traumas from our parents, they're being transferred through us. So questioning about everything, not accepting the beliefs that are outdated or which do not make sense. So that's another way to overcome your limiting beliefs. So for anyway, I don't know what happened with my video. So those are the things that I wanted to talk about. Again, limiting beliefs are thoughts or ideas or behaviors that we learn as in our early childhood, from infants to to maybe 80 years old. They're they are not necessarily some things that we learn, of course, are very useful because they help us fit into our society to function as better human beings. But other things, we have to question them. Like we maybe you outgrow some things that you're still practicing, or maybe you are carrying on ideas or trauma from your parents that they don't belong to you. So again, questioning, facing your fears. What else did we talk about? And like opening to possibilities, like staying open, like not thinking that you know everything, like opening to possibilities, not crossing up your heart, or like pretending you know everything, because you don't know everything. You may know something on the surface, but you don't know everything completely. I don't know who wrote this, but there's a book that I read where they talk about that there's no absolute knowledge to anything. Everything has its deep. Sometimes you know a little bit on top, and then you read more, and then there's deeper. You cannot know everything absolute. So staying open to possibility. There's like, don't put sitting on your life. That's one way of saying it. Like don't cover like, okay, I've reached the maximum. There's no maximum. Anyway, so that's it for me. That's what I wanted to talk about, limiting beliefs, and what I'm doing, how limiting beliefs. I talked about the what are limiting beliefs, how we get them, and how can you identify that you have limiting beliefs. Look into your life, like if there is any area. Everybody has limiting beliefs, but to grow, to make a conscious decision, you have to overcome these limiting beliefs so you are able to grow. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you may think of sharing if you think there's someone who might find it useful. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.